This is Schaffert Manufacturing's gauge wheel scraper for John Deere, Kinze, white planters, and others out there on the market. It's a simple way of putting a mud scraper on your planter and fitting all gauge wheel arms. A lot of the gauge wheel arms are different sizes. This is off an older planter, and this is off of a newer John Deere planter with the eccentric bushing in it. Normally when we start on this unit, we'll take this unit off, and I'm kind of starting backwards here. I'm showing you what it looks like on the planter after it's been welded on. They're very easy to install once you get them welded on. We have it set here, so when it's not muddy out, if you're not wanting to scrape the tires, you can flip this up and out of the way and get it so that it's not being used. Let's say it rains tonight, and maybe by mid-afternoon tomorrow you possibly could be running. You could go out to your planter early in the morning, you can pop all these down into place, set them up so they're just barely touching or just close to being touching, and take your 3/4 inch wrench and tighten them down, and you're ready to go to work that afternoon. Very easy to assemble. We have a dual edge scraper. This, you can flip it over. Once this one side wears out, you can flip this over and wear the other side out. So it fits the contour of the tire right here. If we didn't have this piece welded on, we're going to be ready to start welding on our square key stock with the bolt or the nut welded to it. And we do not paint this little square key stock. This square key stock is something that it's made, it'll fit right or left gauge wheels. So it's not, you'll just put it on the opposite side of this for the other gauge wheel. So what I normally do before I start anything, I'll measure down about a 1/2 inch on each arm on both sides. I'll measure down about a 1/2 inch from the center of the grease zerk and make me a mark with a magic marker. I'll measure down a 1/2 inch and make a mark right here where this is going to be welded on. Now we're ready to take the gauge arm off, so I'll get my 15/16 wrench out, loosen this up, pull this off, take it completely off of the planter, and I'm going to leave this on right now. Okay, I've got the wheel and everything on it, and then I'll take out my eccentric. If you have eccentrics on yours, I'll take it clear out so we're not getting welder slag and stuff in the threads of the unit. And we're going to take the zerk out so we don't ruin the threads on the zerk. Or you can leave one zerk in and use it on all the units, then you'll have to buy a new zerk and put in. That way you don't fry all the zerks when you're welding this on, because you're pretty close to it, and it might damage the spring inside the zerk. Now we're going to move over here into the shop bench after we pull the wheel off. We've already marked the other one, but I'm going to roughly put this in this area right here, right there. So we've marked it after we've taken it off of the planter. Now I'm going to grind this down. I've got be sure and wear safety goggles. You can use 7018 welder rod on a stick welder, or you can use wire welder with regular 035 wire, whatever you have. If there's a ridge right here in the center, I usually grind it down a little bit. Just take when it comes out of the cast molding, it'll have a little hump right there in the middle. I usually grind it down a little bit. And it don't have to be perfect. Before I start this process, I mount my scraper on, kind of center it up in all the slotted holes on the back and on the front. I get everything centered, put my 1/4 inch carriage bolts in and put my whiz nuts on and kind of just snug it, but yet you still have movement in and out on your arm here, horizontal movement, plus you have your vertical movement up and down. So if I didn't get this welded on just exactly perfect, and I put all the units together, I'll take and put all of them together like this, and so I'm ready, so when I pull off the gauge wheels I can weld them on. Then I put my arm on and I kind of snug this a little bit. Now normally I start a little bit, if you have brand new tires on your planter, I start about 1/8 of an inch in from the edge, because as this tire wears against that disc blade, it will wear down. After I get it put together and I get this fairly flat on this surface, I'll take my wire welder, and a lot of the guys will wire weld them on, and then I'll just tack weld it. And what are you using for, Sean, what are you using for welding? Or
just a 035 wire, M5 gas, just pretty simple settings. I think we're 25 on amps, 39 on, or 390 on wire speed.
so
Doesn't have to be anything drastic. You can use welding rod on it, 6-10 will hold it fine, 70-18 would be preferable.
Okay, on stick welding.
On stick welding on your straight
Okay.
arc. You can use flux core if you don't have gas on your wire welder, as long as you got solid wire. Anybody running with flux core knows how to run it, so you can run flux core on it too.
So it takes less than 5 minutes per row to weld one up.
Yeah, it's
Just
not,
a couple minutes. It isn't real bad once you get it.
It's not very long. Just kind of clean everything up afterwards and give it a shot of primer.
Green paint or whatever color paint you got on your planter.
And she's good to hold. Just make sure you don't overheat it and destroy the great zerk opening
And get
and
slag
swell
in
the
there,
inside. So.
Yeah. Now you're ready to reassemble. You can screw your eccentric back in on the unit where it needs to be, and you can place your zerk back in. I think this is a zerk that come out of here. So now we're ready to position the scrapers into place and tighten down the nuts and stuff on it, and you're ready to roll.